This is your Icewind Dale DM guide for the town of Lonelywood and its quest, the White Moose, from Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. Hi, Bob here, and welcome to Bob World Builder, where we learn how to have more fun playing D&D together. So hit that subscribe button to get new guides, reviews, and more every Wednesday. This Icewind Dale DM guide is brought to you by Encounters in Icewind Dale and the Icewind Dale Premium Map Pack for all of your combat encounter map needs, both available now on the Dungeon Masters Guild. Lonelywood is a quiet town of loggers, fishers, and scrimshanders scratching out a living on the edge of the world in the northernmost town of Icewind Dale. It's famous for the surrounding forest that supplies wood to most other settlements, Tourmaline and Targos in particular, and infamous for attracting the region's shadiest criminals and miscreants. The wilderness is still the worst danger in Lonelywood, but it's wise not to drudge up the dark deeds of anyone's past in this small town. It's considered very friendly, fairly comfortable, and has decent services. The 100 shady townsfolk are represented by Nimsy Huddle, a lawful good halfling mother of 4 who will house your party in her attic and share some of her famous cookies. The town crest's white triangles symbolize Lonelywood's northerly location and scrimshaw trade on a forest green field, and the people of Lonelywood leave offerings of food to the Frostmaiden on the new moon. The only adjacent town is Tourmaline to the south, reached in a 2-hour walk along a 3-mile-long snow-covered path. Because Lonelywood has no functioning inns, your party may head right to Speaker Huddle's house where they'll be invited to stay the night, or, like my party, right to the abandoned inn, the Ramshackle. It's been closed since the last owner, de Groots, hanged himself there 2 years ago, around when the Frostmaiden's rime began, but some locals believe the hanging was staged to conceal his murder at the hands of some old friends, and this story immediately hooked my players. They started asking questions about the innkeeper's death, which could get them into trouble, and one character even exclaimed, "Oh my gosh, I bet the inn is haunted." Well, it's not written to be, but it totally should be. This friendly or unfriendly ghost could have answers about the mysterious woman mentioned in the tale from Tourmaline's East Side Inn. Maybe the innkeeper was killed for housing her, or maybe they were killed for knowing a little too much about the owner of the Lucky Lair here in town. This tavern is where fishers and woodcutters gather to weave tall tales, spill valuable secrets, and spread rumors from the 10 Towns Rumors table. And the raven-haired barkeep, Danae Zodal, keeps tabs on all of it, as a secret agent of the most powerful lich in Thay, planted in Icewind Dale years ago, and all those she has marked as enemies of the lich have quietly vanished. Not only could this Thayan spy be tied to the Thayan wizard, Dazan of the Arcane Brotherhood, but she could have killed de Groots from the Ramshackle. Or perhaps the dirty work was done by the not fully retired assassin, Iris Cree Harrowhill, who runs the Happy Scrimshander in Lonelywood, making it a town-wide conspiracy. This dockside shop sells needles, knives, inks, and wax for decorating knucklehead trout bones, aka scrimshandery, but you could add poisons, darts, and thieves' tools available to anyone who speaks thieves' cant. And if you enjoyed this extra quest idea, you'll love Encounters in Icewind Dale by Christian Zook, with 24 original encounters for the snowy coast, mountains, tundra, and the towns. It has 13 new creatures like the Frozen Far goblins and the White Ooze, and custom icy maps to use for these encounters or your own random encounters. But for even more maps, you can pick up the Premium Map Pack, which contains gridded, gridless, snowing, and snowstorm versions of the maps, with 40 total map files to use in your game. Both are available now on the DM's Guild, and you can use the affiliate links below to support the channel. Whatever quest your party takes in Lonelywood, the town speaker wants them to kill a deadly moose, though it's not clear if anyone has died yet, and they don't know the moose has been awakened by Ravisin, the evil frost druid of Ariel. Speaker Huddle initially offers cookies, but is willing to pay 100 gold for the moose's head, 125 with a DC 15 persuasion check, or the deed to the Ramshackle Inn, which is what I led with because my party specifically wanted the inn as a home and business for the kobolds from Tourmaline. Quite the entrepreneurs, and I love it. Tracking the moose is written like its own adventure, where you roll 1d6 after a successful DC 15 survival check to see if the moose tracks lead to the right moose after 1d4 hours, and every 3 hours you roll 1d20 for a random encounter. Yikes. I simplified the tracking by merging the D20 and D6 tables and using it one time after they started following moose tracks. 1. Normal moose. Restart tracking when you find it. 2. Banshee. More on this later. 3. Brown bear, but awakened and friendly with directions to the tomb if your party gives it food. 4. Chwingas, which is great if your party is still on the Nature Spirits starting quest. 5. Fox and hare, as written, but only if the party is being stealthy. And 6. White moose tracks leading to the Elven Tomb. It's critical for your party to follow a beast here because ancient elven magic tricks most creatures into veering away from the site without even knowing it, making sled dogs, other beast companions, or even a monstrosity companion really valuable. And when your party arrives, just show them a map, because this site is difficult to capture in words. For your convenience, I made an edited version of the player map that does not reveal what's inside the tomb, in case your party, like mine, decides to explore outside first. There's a link to that free map down in the description, but if you join Patreon, you'll also get a one-page PDF guide for this quest with the tracking table I made, and guides for all the videos in this series. Plus, you'll get other awesome D&D content that you can use for any campaign. And your support on Patreon and here on YouTube through subscribing, liking, and sharing these videos makes all of this possible. So thank you. Area 1 contains 6 life-size statues of elves atop pillars, their faces worn away by time, and Detect Magic or a good Arcana check reveals abjuration magic around them, but you could describe it more like a force field to hint at their redirecting properties, and that toppling all 10 statues here will undo the magic. Areas 3 and 4 are where things really heat up. The sarcophagus lid is engraved with the image of a brazier, like the one in the gazebo, and the pillars depict a twig, pinecone, flame, feather, and humanoid hand, obviously indicating some necromantic ritual. My party tried burning their own hands before realizing you don't get to keep the hand, so they ended up seeking out and robbing one of these simple isolated graves that I decided on the fly are haphazardly placed throughout the forest. The real issue, however, is the mummy, Sanhar, who lives to serve your party for resurrecting them. Sanhar certainly makes a valuable companion, but my players started asking tons of questions about life hundreds of years ago, and I tried answering a few before just deciding that Sanhar's memories have rotted away. All the mummy knows is how the moon dial works in Area 5, explaining that a full moon activates the scrying mirror in Area 7, which should totally be circular or moon-shaped rather than oval, that half moons unlock the other tombs, and that Sanhar themselves can cast the Moonbeam spell to manipulate these effects, because no one in my party has Moonbeam. Area 6 contains the white moose with some harmless woodland creatures, so it should smell pretty bad. The moose's attacks are very powerful, and I plan to weaken it for my level 2 party of only 3 PCs, but after the moose missed its first round of attacks, I left it as written and the battle turned out fine. 4 rounds, 2 PCs nearly down, spell slots expended, exactly what I wanted. Because while Ravisin, the evil frost druid, is written to just wait for your party in Area 9, I knew my cautious players would take a short or long rest before entering that room, and then probably kill her way too easily. So I had this druid of Auril approach them as a small owl, fluttering out from the dark corridor and hopping over to the moose's corpse before flying out the broken wall toward the crystalline moon dial, where the owl transformed in a wisp of snow and frost into the pale form of Ravisin, with matted hair and fur shawl, blue-stained lips, and bearing her icy sickle. It's a sickle made of ice. She threatened the party for slaughtering one of her greatest warriors, blasted them with a wind wall, knocking 2 of my 3 weakened PCs unconscious, and was gone when the snow cleared. So with that awesome character intro, plus the fact that my party has now defeated 2 awakened beasts, plus the fact that their only clue so far about the cold-hearted killer's starting quest is the icy murder weapon, I am completely replacing Sephek with Ravisin as the Arc 1 villain of my home campaign. So when your party finally gets into Area 9, they would just find the terrified awakened shrub who can share some info about Ravisin's other beast, her radicalized nature, and her dead sister entombed here with some helpful potions and helping hands if your party hasn't opened Sanhar's tomb yet. They can also get a hand from the elven corpse in Area 8, which is kind of hinted to be our banshee from the woods, because they're buried with a bow and the banshee has a bow. But the banshee is written to be a banished elf, so she probably wouldn't have been buried in the tomb. I think the banshee should be the ghost of whatever corpse Ravisin removed from Area 9 to make room for her sister, and the banshee should reward your party if they return her body to the tomb, giving one of your characters their magic ancestral bow with the properties of an elven moonblade, which any non-elf must attune themselves to under a full moon here at the Elven Tomb. Now check out Encounters in Icewind Dale and the premium map pack, and sign up for Patreon PDF guides like Daniel, Richard, David, Colton, Nicholas, Sawyer, and Ollie just did. Thank you all for your support, and keep building.